What's up, F3 Nation? It's your boy Scratch and Win, Executive Director here, bringing you an update about the Accelerate campaign running October 1st through the 31st. Accelerate provides an opportunity for the packs to make a gift to F3 so we can continue to give it away. This year, we're making some new investments, like Region in a Box, a national attraction campaign, and Lead Weekends. All of these are designed to plant more shovel flags and unlock more men. For more information and to make your gift, visit f3nation.com or text the word F3 Accelerate to 53555. Thanks for your generosity, and we'll see you in the glory.
Welcome to the High Impact Man podcast. High impact men from across the nation sharing their stories of inspiration, encouragement, and hope.
Gosh, seek transformational relationships.
Now, what you're hearing from the culture is not right. Pick up the six, you know what I mean? But you never know who your six sometimes is.
Stop being less.
To help others become the virtuous leaders they're called to be and that our nation desperately needs.
To another episode of the High Impact Man podcast. I'm your host, Devin Gorky. I'm known as Defib to the guys in F3. And I'm joined, as always, by Troy Klinger. He's known as Dial Up to the guys in F3. What we do is we bring men on to tell their stories, to motivate, inspire, and encourage other men to be virtuous leaders. And this is podcast episode number 4, where we're doing video. And I think it's turned out so far so good. What was interesting was our first one had, and I think they should all have, like, closed caption words on the bottom. Didn't know that was going to happen. Dial Up,
and it does an amazing job. Like it's accurate, probably like 99% of the time, if not more. Yeah. One thing I was wondering, should we change, like when we record 2 episodes in one night, like we're doing tonight? Should we change clothes in between, or like our listeners and watchers, do they think that we just wear the same stuff all the time?
I really don't think people pay attention to that from Monday to Monday. If
you don't
they
think
listen
so?
to us, watch us every Monday.
They're
no,
like,
I don't think so.
Like Dial-Up's wearing the same shirt he wore last week. Well, he's the slob, man.
Yeah, he is a slob, folks. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Not for me. But the closed caption thing, I want to see if we could do this. See what closed caption looks like that.
All right, we'll see what it says.
I know, I'm a child. All right, well, we've got Hot Squat here with us today, guys. Hunter Baumgartner. Hot Squat comes another recommendation, another high-impact man recommended to us, by Rep Sleepy. Rep is like leading the league. He and Funny Car, I think, in a battle to see who's recommended the most guys. Last week, Funny Car, the guest last week, Tigger was recommended by Funny Car. The rest this week, the guest this week is recommended by Rep Sleepy again.
Yeah, I hold on. I sent Tigger the video that you were talking about, and he said absolutely it was not a travel.
How do you know what it was I'm talking about? I gotta see that one. I don't think you got the right one.
I may or may not have just made that up, but
it was definitely a travel.
Yeah. All right. Anyway,
if you don't know what we're talking about, go back and listen to last week's episode. Watch last week's show. Yeah.
Defib was venting about calls and
traveling.
Tigger disagreed, I think, on several instances. But anyway, hey, this week's guest, Hot Squat.
Hot Squat, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you guys for having me.
Yeah, where are you coming to us from?
Yeah, I'm from Maryville, Tennessee. We're just right outside of the Great Smoky Mountains National Park.
Oh, I was just there a couple months ago. It's a beautiful area. My wife and I stayed in Gatlinburg. That's a cool little town.
It's a fun town.
We did 2 hikes. Yeah.
You guys got something in common then. You hiked the Appalachian Trail. He hiked the Appalachian Trail.
Yeah.
He did 2,000, like 2,200 miles. You did what, 4?
Yeah, I did 4. Yeah, the trail so there's a bunch of trails in Smoky Mountain National Park, and the one at the very top of the mountain is where the Appalachian Trail cuts across, and it's actually the border between Tennessee and North Carolina. But my wife and I hiked the Appalachian part of the Appalachian Trail for about 4 miles. Yeah. So anyway, Hot Squat, you've given it away. Hot Squat is one of the reasons he's on here is he's a thru-hiker of the Appalachian Trail at 24 years old. So. We're going to talk to him about that. However, the first thing we have to do is, you guessed it, play the game of how did our F3 guy get his F3 name, Hot Squat. What do you got, Dial Up?
Were you doing? I can ask like one question, can I? Did you get your F3 name before you did your thru hike?
Yes.
That doesn't help you then.
No, it doesn't. I'm going to just say they did a ton of squats on his first beat down when he went, and he was just sweating like crazy. Oh. And he's like, man, I'm just like hot and roasting like from doing all these squats, and they just Hot Squat. It's the best I got, brother.
Yeah, that's what I was going with, except I was going to get a little bit more specific that he had whatever pair of shorts he had on, you could see the sweat right through it. So he had a big sweaty butt they were looking at and said he's Hot Squat. What do you say, Hot Squat? How'd you get your name?
Well, wasn't for any of those reasons, unfortunately.
I didn't think it would be.
So it was actually originally Nature Boy, and because I told a story about being in the woods, and then that name was actually taken. So we had to rename it, and just during the workout, we did do a bunch of squats, and Smuggler, the guy leading it, just kind of started yelling out, hot squat, hot squat. And then the story I told when you go in that circle was about me actually being on a hike in the woods in like an area where there's not a lot of great tree cover, and I had to go dig a cat hole and poop in the woods. And so I tried to like hide as best as I can, but I was in like you go real close with the shorts. I was in like bright shorts and a bright shirt. And then like I felt so bad because like a family with small children started hiking by, and I tried to hide as best as I can while pooping in the woods, and I was trying to hide, and then I got caught. So that's what kind of turned into Hot Squat after that. So it was like a quick try to get in and out of there.
There we go.
Yeah. Now it's like the old question: if an F3 guy poops in the woods, does anybody see it?
Apparently they do. Yeah.
Mom and Dad, there's a guy over there pooping in the woods.
What's he doing? Nothing, honey. He's just taking a squat. All right. Well, Hot Squat, tell us your F3 origin story. How'd you get started? When was it? Who EH'd you?
Yeah, it was I think about 3 years ago now. I got back into hiking in around 2020 during COVID, and I kind of developed some knee problems from hiking, doing it like just too many miles too fast. And my physical therapist, it was Peach and Nair. They were F3 members over at the Arsenal. And one of the things that I actually needed to help my knee was building strength around my knee. And so while I was doing that at PT, they were like, hey, we're part of this workout group called F3. It actually probably would help with your physical therapy. Would you like to come out? And they EH'd me and got me in from there, and then been doing it ever since.
Cool. That's so you get EH'd at his physical therapist office.
Imagine having the physical therapist there at your beatdowns. They'd be like monitoring they'd be like the form police of all form police, right?
Right.
It's like, hey, you're hurting your knees, you're hurting your back, right?
We got to do 20 minutes of warm-up before we start. Wait a minute, we're almost done.
Well, that's like the running joke too. Is when one of them's on cue, is that they're just trying to build up their business by getting us hurt while they're on cue.
That's a good strategy. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. As long as they don't get hurt. Well, and you're so where you post. What's the name of the region?
Yeah, it's F3 Smokies.
Okay. Yeah, and that makes sense because that's where Rep Sleepy's from.
Yeah. You guys just had a GTE down there this year, right?
I think I was still on the trail or wasn't checking Slack
when
while
that was
out
going
there,
on.
so,
Okay.
Yeah.
It's no longer Grow Ruck.
I know. Is it still
For
GTE?
the record. It's
no
still
longer
GTE, but the G stands for something else. It's like Go something. I can't remember, but it's no longer Grow Ruck, so we can't be saying that.
I'm sorry.
Anymore. And but it's run by the Freedom Ops company.
Yeah.
Cadre Danny. So yeah, Dark Helmet. How was that? I'm doing my best, brother.
That's right.
All right. Yeah. So, how many guys do you usually have post at
Kind of depends. It depends on the weather, most of the time. But we usually get around anywhere from 5 to 10.
Okay. So, and you're 24. Are you the youngest guy that usually shows up?
Usually, yeah.
Yeah. I was gonna say there aren't too many guys in their early 20s or teens that usually post to F3 stuff.
Yeah.
Because most of those young guys don't want to wake up that early.
That's right. And did posting and going to F3, did it help your knee?
It did a whole lot. It helped make it better. So I mean, it worked.
Boom, there it is.
Yeah. Another good thing F3 does for you, it helps your knee pain. Depending, of course, on what your knee ailment is, I guess. But, but it worked. Yeah. All those hot squats paid off. All right. So tell us what life was like for a young Hot Squat. You're only 24, but where'd you grow up? What was life like for you then?
Yeah, I mean, I grew up here in town, here in Maryville. Just kind of normal middle class family, growing up, going to school. And then what probably led to knee pain further on was right around 10 years old, I started training in martial arts. I started doing Taekwondo. And at 15, I got hired on to be an instructor, kind of part-time, just helping teach the little kids. And for 9 years, that was actually my career was a martial arts instructor. And so kind of growing up with that, and that was honestly like the biggest part of my life before I got into hiking again. I mean, I did it a little bit as a kid. I was really into just martial arts training and teaching, being out there on the mat, working with students day in and day out. And yeah, and then COVID hit and we weren't able to be on the mat all the time. And I needed something to do other than watching TV and playing video games. So I started getting back into hiking. And from there, just kind of dove down into the rabbit hole of the Appalachian Trail.
All right, cool. So are you now, as a Taekwondo artist, and you've been doing it for, what, 14 years now?
Yeah, about 14, yeah.
Started when you were 10. You probably never did any MMA fighting, right?
No, it was nothing like that. And then I was never the most talented or like best martial artist. I enjoyed doing it and was a pretty good teacher. There's kind of the biggest thing with it was I'd tried like every other sport possible and was horrible at all of them. And then this is just the one that kind of stuck with it, and I kept on doing it. And so that's why I really dove headfirst into the teaching and the life skill side of it.
Yeah. Now, are you Miyagi-Do or Cobra Kai?
Actually, I'm Eagle Fang.
The world wants Eagle Fang. Eagle Johnny Fang, Lawrence, Sensei Johnny.
Sensei Johnny, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, I can relate to Johnny in a lot of ways. Very cool. All right. So the last half of the last season should be coming out pretty soon, right? I'm down a rabbit hole now, I know.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, I stopped watching it when like that martial artist side of my brain kind of kicked in, and I was like, all right, this is just getting way too ridiculous at this point. Like half these guys they'd go to jail for assaults at that point. Like these guys are kids. Like I don't know.
Waiting in the school. Yeah. I haven't started watching the most recent episode or most recent season.
I love it.
I know. Yeah. I was going to say the thing you and Johnny have in common is you both are in love with Elizabeth Shue, right?
Okay, I'm going to tell you something about Elizabeth Shue. She's from Jersey.
Yeah.
And no, I never dated her. I'm kidding. But I remember her very first movie, Adventures in Babysitting.
Oh yeah.
That was her very first movie, and I thought she was pretty. Yeah, but no, I did not have a crush on Elizabeth.
Not nearly as pretty as your M.
No.
Of course.
Can't hold a candle to my M.
That's right.
All right, I went down a sidetrack there. Sorry about that.
It's all good.
Right, so you basically grew up. You didn't like sports. You said you weren't very good at them, but Taekwondo really spoke to you. And did you like the discipline about it? The athletic part of it. You know what really made it work for you?
I'd say it was definitely the discipline. Like growing up, kind of ADHD. They'd call us like the spaz kid. Didn't like doing my homework. Didn't really like listening, and I just kind of had like a restless energy about me. And being able to go out there and kind of being able to apply that energy to something really helped. And then I always kind of tell a story. It was the first time I remember the first class I took. It was the first time I had a coach just right off the bat say, hey, good job at this. And he just told me I did good at something instead of immediately, you need to fix this, and this. And it was kind of like that first positive spark that from that point forward, like I could have been the worst kicker, the worst martial artist ever, but that one positive spark was enough to just keep it rolling.
Isn't that awesome?
That's great. Yeah.
Dial Up
Great
as usual.
in and of itself, right?
One guy, a coach, a sensei, whatever, a teacher that shows an interest in you and is positive with you, right? And that's what you get interested in. That's great, man. Have you ever had to use it, like, for self-defense outside the dojo?
No. If anything sparring's taught me is that's a lot of work, and it seems like it'd be not fun to do, so just kind of try to avoid that at any cost, and it's really not worth it in the long run.
See, you're Miyagi-Do.
There you go. Yeah, that's the Miyagi-Do side of it.
Yeah. I don't know if you're Eagle Fang. Yeah. All right. Well, that's awesome, man. I know you didn't come on here to talk about Taekwondo, but I was interested and is that what you do for a career now? You teach that?
I did for 9 years. Kind of after getting off the trail, I no longer do that. Through hiking kind of shifted my goal and vision for my future, and so I no longer teach there.
What do you do for a career?
Well, the goal is to just keep on hiking. Honestly, I kind of got back and I was like, all right, I got the bug for it. And so like right now I'm working at a restaurant, and then actually next week I'm moving out to Colorado to work at a ski resort and just save up and hopefully do another thru hike next year.
Okay, cool. Now,
PCT?
Yeah.
PCT, yep.
All right.
Pacific Coast Trail.
Yeah, it's Pacific Crest Trail.
Crest, yeah.
Pacific Crest Trail. Sorry about that. All right, so tell us about the Appalachian Trail thru hike. Like, first of all, what prompted you to do it?
Yeah, so kind of like I was saying earlier, I kind of got back into hiking around 2020, and I thought about it, just kind of fell down the YouTube rabbit hole of just watching hiking videos. And I think I did the same 4 miles you did, Defib, up to Charlie's Bunyan up there at Newfound Gap. And it was during thru-hiker season when the first group of people were coming through. And I just stopped and asked every single one of them, like, their life story. I was like, why are you out here? Why are you doing this? And the more and more I talked to them, the more I was like, these guys, they just seem happy. They're excited. They're happy. They're doing their life's dream. And I knew it was something that I wanted to do eventually. But after doing that hike up to Charlie's Bunyan, I was like, all right, I've got to put this in motion now. I'm not going to be able to wait till I'm older.
Okay, cool. And so you decided to thru hike. Now did you start in Georgia and go north?
Yep, you start at Amicalola Falls there. That's the unofficial start. And then you started there, hiked up to Springer Mountain, and went from north from there.
All right. How long did it take you?
We did it in 4 months and 4 days.
Is that fast dial up?
Yeah, that's quick. Yeah, you were moving along.
Yeah, I think we were 126 days total.
Yeah, so you didn't have very many 0 days.
No, the last 0 day, now I had a couple like 2 or 3 mile days, but the last 0 I took was in Port Clinton, Pennsylvania.
Oh, wow. So, yeah,
so,
you did a long
yeah,
stretch.
It was a pretty long stretch, yeah.
Yeah, almost the whole second half, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Everything got so expensive up there, so like 0 days cost more money in the long run. Like you're paying for more food, you're paying for places to stay, and New England got expensive real quick, so it was cheaper to stay on trail.
Yeah. I didn't think of that. Things that cost more money the further north you go. Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, so I don't know whether we probably talked about it on here, but before we even started recording the podcast, we were obviously catching a connection because my dad thru hiked the AT, and I had to pull it up here to look when it was. It was 2021 that Dad did it, and he was just under 6 months, if I remember correctly, but his was post-retirement, needed a challenge in life and something to do, and so he was in no hurry when he did it. So he took his time, started his mileage really low, and a couple times if the weather was bad, he stayed an extra day at the hostel or hotel or wherever it was and stayed out of the weather and made a whole spring and summer out of it.
But yeah, does that count?
4 months, yeah, just over 4 months. You were cruising along. What do you think of the woman who just did it in 40 days? Now that was fully supported, right? But still, 40 days.
The whole thing?
Just absolutely
the whole
amazing.
thing?
Yeah. She did it south to north. So I was actually out last Monday, or like the Monday before last, out on the trail in Irwin because I had to skip a 30-mile section up there. And I was like, it's only 2 hours from the house. And there was this lady on a Monday trail running southbound. And my first thought was like, who's out here on a Monday trail running? Had no clue. And then I saw her picture on Instagram. It was that woman that set the fastest known time.
You saw her coming the other direction. Yeah.
So yeah, we crossed paths, and then obviously she didn't have time to talk to anybody. She was trying to set records. But it's kind of cool looking back and like, oh yeah, I saw her setting her record going southbound there.
Yeah, that is cool.
Well, she went from Maine to Georgia in 40 days.
40 days, 18 hours, and 5 minutes.
Crazy, huh?
And that's not easy terrain, right? I mean, there are a lot of spots you're climbing over rocks and whatever, right?
The terrain's tough.
Yeah. Yeah, there's spots where it's, if you can do a mile, a mile and a half in an hour, right? You're moving along. And she was averaging, what was it, 50-some miles a day?
Something like that, yeah. It was crazy numbers.
So you had to go back and cover a section that you had missed on the way up. Did you get caught by like forest fires or something like that, or?
No, it was coming out of Hot Springs. I had just gotten a new pair of shoes, actually in Gatlinburg, and like the sizing was half a size too small. So I was getting Achilles bursitis. It actually benefits of having a physical therapy friend, my friend Peach, who EH'd me. I texted him a picture of like my whole heel just all purple from this like shoe just pushing on it the wrong way. And he's like, yeah, here's what it is. You're going to want to rest and get new shoes. And so I knew I had to like take 2 days off to rest, but the people I was with, I still wanted to hike with them. So I jumped up to Uncle Johnny's in Irwin, spent 2 days there, waited for them to come through, and then kind of left out from there. And so, I mean, that spot was like 2 hours away from where I live now. So just made a weekend out of it and just went and filled it in.
Very cool. Did you use Hot Squat for your trail name? Sorry, Defib.
No, actually, I wanted to see what other names we could get. I ended up with Live Moss, the Taco Bell slogan.
Oh.
Yeah, it was kind of funny. This one lady's like, oh, because you're living more. And I was like, actually, no, it's because I packed out a bunch of quesadillas from Hiawassee. And
yeah. Cool. How much does a pack weigh on average that you're carrying?
So mine was, I hate saying it because it sounds like bragging, but mine was probably the smallest one of like anyone else I saw on trail, maybe other than one guy's. The heaviest it got was probably around like 27 pounds.
Oh, geez. You're a light packer.
Yeah, it was a 28-liter pack. The problem was once it got over 25, like the pack wasn't designed to hold more than that. Yeah. So I was feeling it, that's for sure.
Yep. Was it just an ultralight gear that you were using, or were you just like packing pretty light and refueling or resupplying a little bit more frequently?
Yeah, it was kind of both of those. Like I had about 3 years to kind of plan for it. So being in the area, people are selling used gear all the time around the Smokies. So I just kind of experimented. Had some ultralight gear, and then resupply. Like that was the heaviest thing, was when you had a full resupply of food. Especially as you got later on in the trail and you ate more food while you were on trail, it got so heavy.
Yeah.
And then just biggest thing was like if I didn't use it while I was hiking, I didn't need to carry it. And that was kind of one of the biggest things, is I just wanted to cut out stuff that I'm not using so I can save that weight.
Yeah.
So what do you carry?
Yeah, so in the pack, you kind of have your big three that they call it, sometimes big four. So you have your pack with you. You have your shelter. So in my case, it was a trekking pole tent. It was a Z-Pack's Plexamid. So it's made out of Dyneema composite fiber. So it weighs about 12 ounces. It's like this super ultra light material, and you literally just stake out the four corners and you use your trekking pole to support it, kind of like an old tent pole, so you don't have to worry about carrying tent poles. And then I carried a Thermarest. It's an inflatable sleeping mat that weighs about 12 ounces. And then from there, I used a down, it's called a Hammock Gear Econ top quilt. So it's like a blanket that you can strap around yourself to turn it into like a sleeping bag. That, and then just carried like a ditty bag with some electronics and food.
Yeah, high-tech stuff. What kind of, excuse me, I'm sure it's different in different areas of the trail, but how often would you go without any reception? Like if you needed to call somebody?
Yeah, honestly, it kind of just depends on where you're at. Most of the time, if you were able to get up onto a high point, like a ridge or a peak, you get some cell signal. And then, yeah, once you got down in between the ridges and the valleys, you got less cell signal there. But for the most part, you could call someone and you had cell signal. And then I didn't mention, I have a device, a Garmin InReach. It's like this little mini thing you strap onto your shoulder strap. And you pay like $15 a month, and if you press SOS, it'll sat phone search and rescue for you and emergency contacts. So wow. That's what I had just in case something bad happened.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah, my dad had one of those, and so my stepmom and myself, we had access to it, so we could kind of check every day and make sure he was still moving where he was, and then just have that peace of mind that if he ever gotten.
So the family could track that thing too.
Yeah,
yeah.
Just sends out like a beacon, like whatever you said. I think like every 15 minutes, 30 minutes, it'll send a ping.
It depends on if you like keep it on and like what tier subscription you have to Garmin. I just kept mine off and then just had the cheapest one, and then that way I figured if I did get injured, I'd be able to at least be able to turn it on and press the button, so that way I didn't have to charge it every now and then. But I had some friends that were checking in back home, and they were using theirs daily.
Yeah, cool. Did you take any weapons with you?
No. A couple of reasons. First, like I was trying to be comfortable while walking, and so if I kept a weapon anywhere, by the time I got to it, to where I need to use it, I'd be done for anyways. And then you cross through, I think, 14 total states on the AT.
Yeah.
And so, as you know, every state has different laws and rules about weapons, as well as every state park, national forest, national park. And it's just, it was a logistical headache, even if I wanted to carry it.
Okay. Did you run into any critters?
Yeah, saw a couple wild boar in the Smokies. That was a fun experience. Cool. And then saw a couple bears. There was this one incident that was kind of cool. It was in Pennsylvania. There were these like mama bear was eating these blueberries, and she just saw me, and the cub just like crawled up on her back, and they just walked away slowly, like they're used to seeing hikers. And so that was pretty cool. And then I wanted to see a moose really bad up north, but instead I just saw a bunch of moose poop.
Evidence that they exist.
That's right.
You didn't see Bigfoot anywhere?
No Bigfoot, unfortunately. He's still crowned the hide and seek champion right now.
Yeah.
And you called
Mater,
it
did you hear that?
Mater?
Yeah.
Oh, that's right, because Mater goes to the hide and
Bigfoot conferences.
Bigfoot conferences. That's right. I forgot. I was like, what are you talking about, Mater? Yeah. You called it Pennsylvania. It's known as something else though for the Appalachian Trail through hikers, right?
Dude.
Rocksylvania. There it is.
Least favorite state on the trail.
And in your defense, I completely get it, because it does not go through the best parts of Pennsylvania. Like,
it does not.
If we could say like where the Appalachian Trail should go through in Pennsylvania, it would not be anywhere close to where it actually goes through Pennsylvania. You miss the beautiful areas of like southwestern PA and then along the northern tier of Pennsylvania. That's the gorgeous part of our state. The part of Pennsylvania is just it's not a real pretty
Does
section.
it follow a ridge that's east of us?
So it comes up through, it comes up from the south, up through like the Shippensburg, Carlisle area, up into Harrisburg, and then when you get to oh my goodness, where we cross the river going down to Harrisburg, Port. Oh, good
Well,
lord!
it's just past
Port
Liverpool.
Clinton.
Not Port Clinton. Yeah, we're further up than that. Anyway, it's
Maryville.
yeah, past there. Where the
Is that
Sheets is. Where the
Yeah,
Sheets
I know
is.
I know where you
Duncannon.
Duncannon. Thank you.
I say the
Duncannon.
night
Duncannon.
that Sheets was awesome, by the way. I
Was
had a
it?
great
Yeah,
meal.
that was a good Sheets. But yeah, when you get to there, then it kind of just shoots across the ridge and goes like all through Reading and makes its way out to the Delaware Water Gap, and it goes
that's
through
what I
like
thought.
goes through Palmerton. It goes right over the ridge where the Spartan race was that we did at Blue Mountain Ski Resort. So yeah, it's just not an exciting section of Pennsylvania to be on. But
Yeah, I thought it went east of us.
That day coming out of Palmerton up Lehigh Gap was like
Yep.
99 degrees with 99% humidity. And that stretch, there's no water for 20 miles.
right, yeah.
So you're
yep.
like drinking like some water cache that someone left baking out in the sun.
Yeah,
And like
it's
I
not
actually
good.
got like heat exhaustion and hyponatremia there.
Oh,
And
geez.
had to go back into Wind Gap, Pennsylvania, and just like
Yeah.
muscles were cramping. It was bad, and spent the day in that town.
Yikes.
Yeah, I totally relate, man. I was on the mountain, the blue whatever ski place for the Spartan race. I got the same thing. Heat exhaustion, hyponatremia. I was cramping up like crazy.
Yeah, I did this section prior to that with my dad, and then that was the one thing he talked about. He's like, I'm not gonna have a water supply for 20 miles or something like that, 25 miles. I forget it was. So he stayed there and just shy of Palmerton, resupplied all his water, and then just hoofed it through that section. But that
And
climb
that's a
you're
tough-
talking about.
That's a tough hill to do with like just so much water on your back too, because that's one thing
Yeah.
that's like great is like the AT, you get so much water. Water weighs so much, and that's what you're carrying, a bunch of water up that tough climb.
Yeah, I hear you, man. What was the weather like when you got to what's that mountain at the end there, Dial Up
Katahdin?
in Maine, Katahdin?
Yeah, we actually had great weather. We had a really good weather window. It it just poured the night before when we were camping outside of Katahdin. And we were gonna do all Katahdin in one day, so we got up at like 4 a.m. and it was kind of like very like eerie and surreal. Like it dumped rain all the night before, and then maybe 30 minutes before we all got out of our tents, like it was just quiet. It was no rain. We got up, the sun rose, clear skies up there on Katahdin, and we had great weather up there.
Yeah, Dial Up. When your dad finished, you were up there when it was like really windy and cloudy and rainy, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was clear on the way up, and then it kind of got like overcast on the way. Well, at Katahdin, then it got kind of really overcast till we got to the top. I think what you're thinking about, we did the section through the Whites, the presidential range section, and so we did Mount Washington, and we stayed just shy of Mount Washington. I think we're like 6 or 7 miles. I forget what it's one of the.
Is it a Mitzvah hut?
Yes, we stayed there. We didn't stay in the hut, but we tented there, and like the weather looked okay. And then we started getting our way up to Mount Washington, and the weather just turned. And I mean, it was 45, 50 mile an hour winds, and the temperature dropped, and it was just pelting us with rain. It was just absolutely miserable. But at the same time, as miserable as it was just cold and windy and rainy, and like I said, just getting hammered with rain that felt like ice pellets. As miserable as it was, it's one of those things that we look back on like it was an awesome memory, and it's one of those things that's like it's kind of the stuff you see other people doing like oh, the extreme weather, like, and you hear like battling through the elements. It's like we did it, and that just made it cool that like you suffered and you went through that tough weather and you came out okay. And it was a miserable experience when you did it, but looking back, it was a great experience. And it was my dad, my son, my wife, and my wife's brother. We were all doing it together, so it was a great memory. The whole year my dad did the Appalachian Trail is one of the best summers I've had. Had I not done a bunch of sections with him, like I would have just spent the weekend working around the house doing silly stuff. But like it was just a great memorable year and summer of just getting out and doing some hikes with my dad and my son going along, and great memories.
Yeah, I remember you said in the video, I got it wrong. I thought it was Katahdin, but anyway, yeah. But that's what we remember. Even the beatdowns we have, right? The really bad weather days are the ones we remember.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, we're weird like that.
How much time did you spend on Katahdin when you finished? Because that's the ultimate finish line, right? It just culminates 4 months of hiking, and now there you are. You're finally on top of Katahdin.
Yeah, it was fun. We probably spent about 30 minutes up there. It was one of those like situations where everyone reacted differently. I finished with 3 guys I pretty much did the whole trail with, and like a couple of us were excited. I think I cried a little bit while I was up there. One of them just kind of sat down because he was tired of hiking at that point, and he was ready to eat a protein bar. And then we all just kind of sat around the sign for about 30 minutes, just kind of taking it all in. And we also packed up some food, and we were all still really hungry and had that hiker hunger. So we just ate a big lunch while we were up there because we knew we were going to be in town later that day. Yeah. And so we ate like all of our food in one sitting.
Nice.
Yeah, that was one of the neatest experiences that I had, hiking Katahdin with my dad. And for that it was just me and him. Just an amazing experience, just to kind of sit back. I just kind of stayed back from a distance because I did not through hike it, right? I just did a couple sections with him, and I was there for the finish. But just to sit back and watch and take in that moment of so many hikers as they were finishing up there. I mean, truly, it brought tears to my eye to see that raw emotion of so many hikers that had just spent months of their life and finally reaching that end point of that journey that they were on. It's just one of the cool moments that I'll remember for the rest of my life, of even though I didn't do it, like just getting to share just a little bit as an outsider and watching that moment for so many folks that summited and finished that day.
I was gonna say it's kind of funny that like that's how you responded to it, because we did have, like, looking back on it, it's funny now, we did have a guy come up to me, knew nothing about the AT, and he's just like, "Why are you guys all cheering so much right now?" Like he had no clue why we were celebrating.
Oh wow,
and
jeez.
and we told him what we did, and he's just like, "That doesn't sound hard at all. Why are you celebrating so much?" Like he was like, just kind of like, I guess, that arrogance or that overconfidence. He's like, "Oh, I can do that, no problem."
Yeah.
It was funny that you said that, because we had that side of it too.
My goodness, yeah, that's a little bit of ignorance there for sure.
So what did you learn on this epic adventure you went on?
I think it was kind of, I think the biggest thing I learned is that so often, like, I kind of thought about it because that's all I have time to do really for most of the day is think. Was that there's like so many like challenges or perceived obstacles that we put on ourselves. So one of the biggest learning lessons I had was actually coming out of Duncannon. I had to stay there to get a pair of shoes that was coming in the mail, and so part of the group I was hiking with kept on going. And the night after leaving Duncannon, or that morning, I texted them. I was like, "Hey, where are you guys camping tonight?" And they told me where they were, and it was 50 miles from where I was at that morning. And kind of just joking with my friends, I was like, "I'll do 50 miles today." Kind of like joking around with the guys at the shelter. And then like as I kept going, like at the start of the day, I told myself, "There's no way you're doing 50 miles. That's impossible. You can't do it." And then as I kept going, I was like, "Oh, this is definitely possible. It's gonna suck. It's gonna be hard. I'm probably going to be sore afterwards, but it's doable." And I think so many of us, whether it's hiking or whether it's anything, we keep telling ourselves, "Oh, that's impossible. That's never going to happen." When in reality, there's so much we can do that it's going to suck. It's going to be tough, but we are able to do it. We just have to get rid of that notion of "I can't."
Yeah. You can do more than you think you can.
Yeah.
Cool.
Speaking
That's
of
something that we learned from F3 as well, right?
Oh yeah, no, that's definitely for sure. I never thought I could do 75 thrusters until I did a beatdown.
Sorry, Defib. I was going to ask two other things. Having dad done this, having had my dad done this, I learned these little things. So, speaking of challenges, I want to ask you two. Did you do two challenges that I know about? Did you try the 4-state challenge?
Oh yeah, definitely.
And did it?
Yeah, we did it in about 16 hours.
Awesome.
But for us, the 44 miles turned into 46 because we actually got lost in the morning.
Oh no!
Like West Virginia, like kind of ticked me off a little bit. They have 4 miles of trail, yet they still somehow managed to mess up like the map of those 4 miles. So we ended up like getting off trail. But yeah, the 4-state challenge was a blast. That was
Tell the listeners what the 4-state challenge is. I guess we should do that.
Yeah, so from the West Virginia border to the Maryland-Pennsylvania border is roughly 44 miles. And so the 4-state challenge is that you do all 44 in one go in one day. And so you go through Harper's Ferry. So my friend and I, Forklift, we were the only ones that did it in our group. So we'd gone into Harper's Ferry the day before, did like all the stuff at the ATC there, got our halfway picture, ate some food, and then we hitched back to the road in Virginia and walked 3 miles to the border. And then we just camped there at the border, got up at 4 a.m. and just started going. And that's where like we got lost there because while it was dark, you can't really see like the color of the blaze, whether if it was white or blue. So we took a blue blaze about a mile in the wrong direction, turned around, came back. Then we just kept on going from there. Once we found the trail, we were golden. And then honestly, like that section was pretty easy. It's pretty flat. Like we'd done harder stuff in Virginia and Tennessee, North Carolina. So it was more just walking for a long time and not stopping as often. Yeah. And we finished it.
And so then the second question for a challenge, did you do the half-gallon challenge?
Also did that one. Yes.
Well done. Applause. Tell them what the half-gallon challenge is.
Yeah, so the half gallon, it's at Pine Grove Furnace, I think is the name of it. It's the state park there. And it's just right after the official halfway point. So you eat a half a gallon of ice cream. So like one of those 3-quart containers and then a pint or something like that. And it took me 52 minutes because like I had to like use the bathroom in the middle of it. And I had this idea. I was like, I'm going to get chocolate chip cookie dough for my big one. And by the time I'm finished with the chocolate chip cookie dough, I'm going to be sick of it. So I'll do black cherry for my pint. Well, I was actually really like the chocolate chip cookie dough. And by the time I got to black cherry, it was like such a shock to the system that like just a wall came up. Like you're trying not to spew everywhere. But there were a couple guys though, they did it in like 20 minutes. They ate the half gallon. People were putting like chips in their ice cream to break up the sweetness. It was pretty fun.
Very cool. Good job.
Crazy hikers. All right. What's next, brother? Are you going to go out and work in the ski resort, raise money to hike the Pacific Crest Trail?
Yeah, that's the goal. It's gonna get a workout. It's called Beaver Creek out in Colorado. So I figure I'd never skied before a day in my life, but they offered me a job and that has employee housing. So I'll learn while I'm out there, have something fun to do over the winter, and then if I can save up enough money, do the Pacific Crest Trail next summer.
Is that one easier, harder, the same?
So all the triple crowners, so the people that do all the big three trails that I talked to on the AT, they say physically it's much easier, because it's graded for horse travel, so you're not going to have so many rocky sections where you're going straight up the side of a mountain. But logistically, it's much tougher because the AT, you're right by a road or a town, you're pretty close to civilization. The PCT, they're like you're out in the middle of the desert, you're in the high Sierra. You're at least 3 or 4 days from a road in some sections. So logistically, it's going to be tougher. You're going to have to like mail yourself food. But at this point, it's been pretty popularized. So that shouldn't be too difficult to figure out.
Is it all California?
No, it's Mexico to Canada. So you go through California, Oregon, and Washington.
Okay. Wow. Long way. All right.
It's a long way.
It is a long way.
Little walk.
You go, then you get to decide to go south to north or north to south, right?
Yeah, I'll probably go north to south just because that's the most popular way. And from everyone I talk to, like you're a lot of the times in the desert, you're dependent on water caches. So just like trail angels, people that help hikers leaving water out there for you. And just everyone I said that's less common if you're going southbound because there's less southbounders. So by the time you get there, they're not really running the water caches. And then one thing I discovered, I didn't think I would like it so much, but I discovered on the AT is I just really like other hiker trash through hikers. And it was fun meeting so many people out there. And so I wanted to get that experience again. So hopefully I'll get that again.
Yeah,
What's
I was
the
just
third
gonna
trail?
go ahead and answer his question there.
I'm
The
sorry?
third trail.
You said there were the big three trails. What's the third
Yeah,
trail?
so there's three. They're called the Big Three. That's the Triple Crown. It's the Appalachian Trail from Georgia to Maine, the Pacific Crest Trail from Mexico to Canada through California, Oregon, and Washington, and then there's the Continental Divide that goes over the Continental Divide from Montana to New Mexico, Mexico to Canada.
All right. What were we going to say, Dial Up?
Yeah, I was going to ask, and I think you alluded to or kind of gave us the answer there. It sounds like you like being in the bubble, right? The bubble is kind of like the biggest group of people kind of all starting at similar times and like are kind of clumped together as they're out on the trail. Sounds like you like being in that bubble with a lot of people.
Yeah, it was so we weren't in like the biggest bubble, which was like because there's a really big bubble that was behind us and we kind of hiked through them. But the start date we had was everyone that kind of they wanted to meet people, but they didn't want to like necessarily party the whole time.
Yeah.
And then we ended up like I finished with 3 guys that I met basically within the first week, and we all just kind of stuck together for the most part through there, and just being around other hikers, like it makes the trail so much more fun. Actually, on the way out to Colorado, I'm gonna like spend some time with one of those guys in Denver, and you just make friends from all over the world.
And what was your start date for the AT?
April 2nd.
April 2nd.
I'm assuming you're not married and don't have a girlfriend since you're going to Colorado and all doing all this other stuff.
Yeah, that's true.
Did you meet any girls on the trail?
I knew you were going to ask that.
Did you?
I mean, yeah, you meet girls on the trail, and there's a thing called like pink blazing, and like where couples try to meet up. But really, kind of like I mean, yeah, you're out there for a while, but at the end of the day, I think everyone's out there for their own personal reasons. And so if it works out, like between someone, I know a couple people that met couples on the trail and that they're still talking now. But for the most part, we're all out there for our own reason. That's not necessarily what we're looking for when we go out there. And if it happens, it happens.
That's when you find it, when you're not looking for it. Right, Dial Up?
Yeah, but you know, when you're out on the trail, like you haven't taken a bath or showered for days, you
better trim that beard.
The
man.
hair's all grown out, right? It's not the best situation for dating and attractiveness, right? Overall, although the pheromones might be really strong, you know, maybe it's a good test of whether they still have those attractive properties.
Yeah. There you have it. Somebody should do a study on it.
Deep shaking his head.
Do you have Do you have any other questions, Dial Up, before I ask the last two?
The favorite story, favorite memory from out on the trail.
All right, yeah.
Favorite or craziest? Like
either one. Give us something good.
I don't know. I think so. The craziest story we had was probably me and a guy hiking named Kachow. We were it was us and another friend named Hoot, and we had a tornado come through our campsite in Connecticut of all states that like we're just not expecting it. And our tents were probably about 15 yards apart from each other, and we had a live pine tree fall in between our tents while we were in it. And so we ended up running to the shelter, and then everything just got soaking wet. And so like we ran to the shelter. I stayed the night there, just soaking wet, and everything was soaked. So we let it all dry out, and it was outside this town named Cornwall Bridge. And so Kachow and I, we were just like, we almost died last night, so let's just kind of take it easy today. And we just kind of hung out under the bridge, had some fun in the river, and then we like had to ford the Housatonic to get back over to the trail. Totally slipped and fell in it, got like wet again. But at that point, there was no more tornadoes, so that was okay.
Yeah. Did you blog or vlog along the way?
I posted pictures on my Instagram. I thought about doing like YouTube videos, but that's a lot of work that I didn't want to do.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I was just ready to go to sleep. And I had a friend, she did YouTube, and you could like see her light sometimes from her hammock with her like editing her videos. And I'm like, I'm just gonna go to sleep. I don't want to do that.
Yeah, it's a lot of work, I'm sure. Since Dad's done it, I every year I try and follow a thru-hiker that I like their videos, YouTube channel that they're doing. I just kind of find it interesting and kind of follow them through. It's just kind of got my interest going when Dad did it. So it's neat to follow someone. This year I followed Fortune.
That sounds very familiar.
Fortune. He had to come off for a little while. He got Lyme disease, and then he had something else going on. But he just finished maybe 2 weeks ago.
Probably at some point we cross paths. You meet so many people out there. Like
I'm sure,
everyone's got like some of the trail names. They just start to blend together after a while. Like you meet like 5 bear baits while you're out there, and you're like, well, which bear bait was that? So
all right, cool, man. I'm glad the pine tree didn't hit you, brother. All right, so somebody's looking after you.
That's right.
Last 2 questions. One is, if you were to pick somebody that you would say is your inspiration or hero or whatever, it could be anybody. Anybody from the distant past to people you know now or whatever, who would you pick?
This was kind of like a controversial like opinion on the trail. Did you ever read the book Into the Wild?
No, but I know they made a movie out of it, right?
About Christopher McCandless. So there's aspects to the story that I don't support, but pretty much what he did was this guy, he was kind of just fed up with like society and like normal life, and he had just graduated college, and so he tore up his ID, burnt all of his cash, and just went to go live as a homeless person pretty much, and bummed around the country. And he ended up passing away in Alaska because he tried to survive out there for a winter. Ended up passing away, and there's elements to his story that definitely I don't approve of, but just that fact that he just he saw where he wanted to go, or he knew he wanted to change, and he just went for it, and he knew it was probably going to make people angry. People weren't going to understand why he was doing it, but he knew it's in his heart that's what he had to do. That's kind of inspired me a lot. That's what really kind of inspired me to keep on hiking, because I knew this is something I want to keep on doing in the future. And it'd be easy enough for me to say, well, I did the AT, great, just kind of keep that on my resume and then go back to normal life. But after kind of hearing his story, I was like, you know what? If this is what I want to keep on doing, I'm going to keep on doing it. So
you'd be like Jeremiah Johnson or
yeah, he was next
Adams
on the list actually. It was Jeremiah Johnson. So
yeah. Dial Up. Do you know who Jeremiah Johnson was?
I don't know Jeremiah Johnson.
Was he a real person, or was it just a character?
I think it was just a character, like based off of different people.
Yeah, it's a movie from the late 70s or late 70s.
Yeah.
With Robert Redford starred in it. He was Jeremiah Johnson.
Jeremiah Johnson. Right.
He got made into a meme for a little while there. I don't know if you know the one where like the wilderness dude, he's got like the long hair and the beard, and they just kind of pan in on him while he's smiling.
Oh, yes. Yep, I know which one you're talking about.
That's from Jeremiah Johnson.
It is, okay. Yeah. All right.
Dial Up, you should watch the movie. It was a good movie.
I guess I'll need to. And that's
totally
the name of the movie?
different.
Is that the name of the movie? Just Jeremiah Johnson?
Jeremiah Johnson. He was a smart. He wasn't like a. I mean, he was a normal person, smart guy. He decided to go live in the mountains, and it's just basically follow his little life and adventures in the mountains. But it was back in the. I guess the setting of the movie took place in the like mid to late 1800s, something like that, because there were still Indians out there and other trappers. It wasn't like it wasn't a modern day setting.
Yeah.
But Jeremiah Johnson. All right, all you packs out there, if you're interested in a movie that actually doesn't have special effects and CGI and all that stuff. Not much dialogue either, I can tell you.
Yep.
It's almost like watching Castaway, right?
Well, no, wasn't Robert Redford in another movie that was similar to that, like just a few years ago?
He was in A Walk in the Woods, the movie about the AT.
That was about the AT, yeah. Wasn't there one he was in a boat or something?
Yes. Yeah, I didn't watch it, but I know what you're talking about.
I can't remember the name of it. Anyway, all right, back to our guest.
Okay, and so the last question is, this is your chance to speak to the men of America. What's your message for the men of America?
Just my kind of message for the men of America is it's very easy to feel like we're doing what we're supposed to do, or it's very easy for us to do, whether it's upbringing, society, whoever tells us like this is how you're supposed to live your life. My advice for you guys would be, if that's not what you want to do, follow what you want to do, live your life how you want to live it, no matter what anyone else says. It's your life. You're the one ultimately that has to live it. So do what you want to do. Don't feel like you have to do what everyone else thinks you're supposed to do.
All right. Be a trailblazer.
Yeah.
Just make sure you pay your bills. I don't want to have to pay for your bills.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, brother. Appreciate it.
Yeah, this is 24 years old. Yeah, 24 years old, and you already accomplished something that a lot of people have out there as a goal in life. That a lot of times they don't ever do it, or B, they have to wait till they're later in life, and retired, or in a more comfortable time of their life to do it. And you're like knocking it off at a young age, and now looking to go out and do the PCT. So very cool, inspiring for sure.
Yeah, you got a long way to go, man. You got a lot of years ahead of you. I just watched that documentary about Diane the Naiad swimming from Cuba to Florida. She wanted to do it when she was 30 years old. She tried it and failed. 32 years later, she was, I think, 61. She decided she was going to do it. And she failed 3 times in a row. Finally, on the 4th try, well, I don't know. You'll have to watch the documentary. In her 60s. It was like, so you have to swim for 2.5 days straight without getting out of the water. So anyway, you could do more things than you. So what you learned here today is you could do more than you think you can, and go blaze your trails. Don't let anybody hold you back. If you've got a vision and you got a dream, right?
Go do it.
Good deal.
Go after it, man. Yeah. Take the first steps. Get moving. All right. Thanks, brother. Appreciate you being with us. Give Rep Sleepy our best.
Will do.
And good luck on your move out west and prepping to do the PCT.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
You have to let us know when you if and when you finish that up, and let us know.
We'll have you come back
on and share the story, and you can give us that side-by-side comparison of the 2 hikes.
Do a little West Coast versus East Coast.
That's right.
Yeah. And you have to tell us about the girl you meet out there. It's going to happen now that you said it wouldn't.
That's right.
Yeah. All right, buddy. God bless you. Take care.
Thank you.
All right. Take care, brother.
All right. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode. I would like to thank our guests for joining us and sharing their story of becoming a high-impact man. More information and resources can be found at highimpactman.com. If you like this podcast, please consider following us on our social media pages or email us at him@highimpactman.com. That is HIM@highimpactman.com. The High Impact Man podcast has a new episode every week, and you can find them on Apple Podcast, Spotify, and Google Podcast platforms. Have a great week, everyone.